Last week, RBI issued much awaited guidelines on overseas investments after a year-long pause. There has been multiple media write-ups on the same. Intent here is to summarize key relaxations and a few points where RBI clarification may be sought. At the outset, let me acknowledge that these new guidelines are very progressive in nature and there will be a lot more flexibility for Indian groups now to carry out business globally. Key changes are 1. Relaxation for ODI FDI structures and 2. Investment in financial services sector. Let's deep dive into both these. At PwC, we get a number of inquiries from large startups and family offices. They wish to keep themselves updated on new technologies which are being developed across the globe by investing in global startups and funds. The questions are around regulatory feasibility to invest in such global startups. Prior to these guidelines, any such investment required RBI approval if such overseas entity had an Indian subsidiary. New overseas investment guidelines clearly permit corporates and limited liability partnerships to invest in offshore startups with Indian subsidiary. The only condition is that the structure should not create more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. Secondly, there were significant constraints earlier for investment by unregulated Indian entities to overseas entities engaged in FS sector. These constraints are removed now. So any Indian entity with a 3-year profit track record can make investment in overseas company engaged in financial service sector like say a fund management or a brokerage or a portfolio management company, etc. Investment in entities which are set up in GIFT City, IFSC, has been made more easy, actually even easier than the unregulated entities. The 3-year profit track record condition is not required for investment in GIFT City. Also, investment by Indian residents in investment funds which are based in GIFT City is freely permissible. These are all very welcome changes. On the other hand, there are several areas where overseas investment rules have become more restrictive. Most PE or venture capital fund professionals have to co-invest alongside their investors. This is to give comfort to the investors that these fund management team also has skin in the game. The new guidelines permit investment in overseas investment funds, but those funds have to be regulated by a financial services regulator of the host jurisdiction. Globally, unlike India, FS regulators do not regulate funds, they regulate fund managers. And because of this, any investment in this space today is restricted. At PwC, we believe that the spirit of regulation is to ensure that the money of Indian investor is safe with regulated entities. RBI may want to clarify that regulated funds should include funds which are managed by regulated fund managers. Second important point is that all overseas investments must happen at fair value according to the new guidelines. Generally, commercial value will always be different than the fair value which is arrived at by a valuation expert. RBI must reconsider this position and allow all overseas investments where commercially agreed price is lesser than the fair value which is arrived at by valuers. Thirdly, Indian employees can be granted ESOPs only of the holding companies of their Indian employer entities. Earlier, cashless ESOPs were permitted for group entities as well, which now stands restricted. Lastly, a correct move to my mind, RBI has now restricted receipts of gift from anyone who is not a related person. In summary, the new regulations simplify investing in global startups and in financial service sector, but some more clarity on investment in regulated funds and valuation principles will help. At PwC, we continue to analyze these guidelines closely. Stay tuned.